Scientists have long known about and studied ghosts, but they aren't the spooky things depicted in horror films. Instead, these entities are incredibly small and constantly swirling around and in you every day. In fact, everything you perceive, touch, see, and hear is composed of these tiny ghosts. The fundamental building blocks of matter are quarks and electrons, which are nature's tiniest constituents. While there are other forms of energy in motion, quarks and electrons collectively make up everything you interact with in your daily life, including objects like tables, forks, and even your body and brain. Regardless of their importance, there is really very little scientists know about them. Their precise size, shape, and color have not yet been determined. Textbooks often show them as simple blue and red spheres, but this representation is mostly inaccurate and misleading. It is much easier to envision them as ghosts. Let me tell you what I mean. Imagine that there is a ghost at Grandma's house. This entity is invisible, silent, and somewhat unpredictable. You only know of its presence by its effects on things around it. For example, it affects objects such as moving pictures on the walls and stirring up dust as it passes. But you never see the ghost itself. It interacts with stuff but never shows you what it is. If you're curious about this entity, you could design an experiment to gather more information about it. For example, you might be interested in determining the size of the ghost. To perform the experiment, you coax the ghost into a wheat field and have it chase you. As you had hoped, it flattened the wheat as it followed you, making a path that resembles a crop circle. You then estimate its size by measuring the width of its path. You can probably think of other experiments to gain insights into its strength, weight, avoidance of certain objects, etc. Quarks and electrons are like the ghost at Grandma's house. You can't see them directly to determine their size, shape, color, etc. They are indescribable and undefinable, but you can see how they interact with each other. Thus, you can conduct wheat field-like experiments to better characterize them. High-energy physicists cause quarks and electrons to collide with themselves and each other to see how they interact. They come up with the indirect insights to paint a bigger picture of how they think they assemble into larger structures like protons and atoms, and how they dictate certain characteristics of the universe. At a slightly larger scale, chemists hone in on things like their assembly into molecular patterns. From those relationships, they can estimate things like atomic sizes. They do that by measuring the distance between their center points and chemical bonds. But that's not really the size of the individual ghost. It's only the distance between them. Scientists' efforts in understanding ghost interactions has resulted in great strides in technology, but it's got us no closer to seeing the ghost itself. They know that it's made of energy, but unfortunately, scientists really don't know what energy is. They don't know what it is, only what it does, which is to cause change. And oddly enough, what it changes are other ghosts made of the ability to cause change. Since scientists don't really know much about the essence of quarks and electrons, how can they claim that certain interactions are impossible? We spend billions on accelerators to gather information about their effects on each other, but spend little trying to understand the interplay between them and the mind. It seems absurd since this is the most obvious and important causal interaction. It's intriguing that you are also a type of ghost, not your body, but that undefinable part of you that rides along with it. Your mind, spirit, or consciousness all refer to that aspect of you. Wouldn't it make sense that that ghostly bit of you can interact with the tiny ghosts that make up your body? Need proof? Close your eyes and then open them. Your mind just moved something in your brain that made your eyelids move. Wonder if Einstein ever pondered that spooky action. Please click the thumbs up icon if you like this video. Also leave your comments and questions below. Until next time, remember humility, thanks, and joy.